Hi guys, my name is Erin Briskey and today I'm going to be talking about option 1 and the most compelling theory as to why women and men have different levels of political ambition. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. My most compelling theory was the traditional gender socialization that we saw in Lawless and Fox. This has 3 components. There's traditional role orientations, masculinized ethos, and the gender psyche. So let's start with traditional role orientations. Gender-specific family roles are the most obvious examples of traditional gender socialization. Women are supposed to be in the home, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, while men are expected to be out working and being the breadwinners for the family. But the women's movement of the 1960s and 70s advocated for greater gender equality in the household duties, but it never really quite came into effect. And today, women are still doing 3 times as much household work as men are. So with women doing most of the household responsibilities and taking care of children, they also face a more complicated balancing act of all these responsibilities in addition to their career if they have one. Men don't face such a difficult balancing act. And today more and more women are leaving their careers to fulfill traditional gender roles. We saw this in the article Why Women Can't Have It All by Slaughter, and she says her reason for leaving Washington was to have more time with her son. And when women do decide to have careers, they're often questioned or even criticized for who's taking care of your children, who's taking care of your household. These are not questions men are asked when they're in their career. So women having all these different roles does have serious implications for their involvement in politics. For them, on top of all their additional responsibilities and jobs of daily life, a political career would serve as a third job. And since men are not equal to women in household duties, entering politics does not interfere with their personal obligations the way it would for a woman. Next, we're going to talk about masculinized ethos. So when considering running for office, you must think about how to launch a successful campaign. And for these campaigns to be successful, they rely on the support of numerous political institutions. But most of these institutions are dominated by men, which is reinforcing the ethos of masculinity. We also read in Lawless and Fox that men are more likely than women to participate in political fundraising. So if men are the ones who are taking a part in this, a lot of men don't want to back a woman, sadly. Also, the media plays a large role in reinforcing gender stereotypes and further reinforcing masculinized ethos. For instance, Hillary Clinton was talked about for having masculine features by the media, and Sarah Palin was talked about for being attractive. We never see this for men, that they are being talked about for their looks when campaigning. And by doing this, this prevents voters from seeing the candidates as legitimate contenders for public office. We also see that the media does things to women that they don't to men, like referring to them by first name rather than last. A lot of times Hillary Clinton was referred to as just Hillary in articles, while President Obama was referred to as Mr. Obama. So I think that this gives women a little bit less credibility. The media also focuses on how women are dressed and what they're wearing, as this is not a big problem for men. So yeah, the media has a lot of different ways of upplaying men and downplaying women. So we saw in Murray that the qualities that voters identify with women candidates are warm, expressive, gentle, compassionate, while voters perceive men as strong, competent, rational, aggressive, and assertive. But the thing is that these qualities that are being associated with male candidates are the qualities that we want to see from a leader, while the qualities that voters are identifying from women are qualities we would rather see in a mother. Next, we're going to talk about the gender psyche. And also in Lawless and Fox, we read that the gender psyche propels men into politics but keeps women in the electoral arena, and that's even if they get to there. So politics is often seen as a reasonable career possibility for men, but it's just not even usually on the radar for women. And we also see that when women get outside their traditional gender roles, they tend to be less comfortable than men. In Murray, we actually saw a study on the psychological development that shows gender differences in levels of confidence, the desire of achievement, and the inclination to self-promote. So if women are lacking in these areas, this is obviously a reason they're not having the political ambition to run for positions in politics. So in conclusion to that area, traditional gender socialization is a major reason there is such a gap in eligible women candidates and their political ambition. So next we're going to talk about how women's lack of political ambition affects public policy. And I came up with 3 reasons. The first is the U.S. prides itself on being a democratic society, but without more women in politics, we just don't have any democratic legitimacy. In misrepresentation, we see that 65 countries have a female president or have had a female president or prime minister, and the U.S. is not one of those. Also, that the U.S. ranks 90th in the world for women in national legislature. So, pretty much the U.S. does not model a balance between men and women in politics for the rest of the world. Second, without more women in politics, we do not have accurate political representation. We also learned from the video misrepresentation that male leaders make up only 6% of the country, and that is that they're male, married, white, heterosexual, over 35, college educated, and have a professional degree. So this is obviously only 6% of our country, and so by having that be what is in office, we're not having accurate political representation, and the inclusion of more women in positions of political power would change the nature of political representation. Lastly, in that area, with more women in office, we could see a different perspective brought to the table that could be successful. There is what we call women's issues, which include gender equality, minimum wage increases, flex time, and the extension of the food stamp program, which back to accurate political representation, this is what is affecting majority of our country, and these are a lot of problems that need to be addressed. So having more women in the top tiers of political accomplishment will allow a different style of leadership and allow some of these important issues to get more attention. So now I'm going to talk about how we can solve or at least mitigate this gap of women in politics. I believe it's pronounced Sanbon Matsu. In that article, I really liked the slogan, "When women run, women win." And this tells us that women are viable candidates and informs voters and supporters that their support of women candidates will be worthwhile. Because no one is going to want to back someone that they believe might lose. So the fact that women have a harder time winning elections and a tougher time raising money only makes it more difficult for women to achieve the credibility they need and get the support, endorsements, and financial contributions. And if political women candidates keep hearing how much tougher the conditions are for them, they will be less likely to run. And the study done in that article concluded that women can win elections as often as men, and much evidence suggests that parties no longer have negative attitudes toward women candidates. So pretty much women just need to take the step, get out there, get into politics for us to see any change. They need to get that political ambition. And lastly, a way that this can be changed is the media needs to start portraying women in a more positive way. The media turns women into sex objects, and they're never the protagonists in stories like we saw in misrepresentation. So by the media doing this, it causes women to become self-objectifiers, and women who are high self-objectifiers have low political efficacy, which means that political efficacy is the idea that your voice matters in politics. So if women don't think that their voice matters in politics, they're less likely to run. So that brings on a whole generation of women who are less likely to run for office. So we just need to realize as women that our voice does matter and that we can cause some great changes in politics, and we just need to get the political ambition to run. All right,